thought that the media were not garbage enough. Well, I have something to disabuse you. Now they are rooting for OnlyFans. So the Washington Post, when it's not busy hiring reporters who work for Hamas, they actually have an entire piece, a giant piece, about OnlyFans, inside an OnlyFans empire, sex, influence, and the new American dream. Yeah, things are going great here in America.
Things are going great. He's being sarcastic there because he says that things aren't going great. Why is it because people are falling behind, in relation to inflation, or don't think that they'll ever be able to own a home or whatever? No, it's because the Washington Post did an article about someone who posts on OnlyFans. That is what means that everything is going wrong. By the way, in that article, and we'll show you the front page right now. You can go read it if you want. You could make an argument that people are becoming desperate because traditional means of wealth accumulation are being dried up. So lots of people are moving into gig work, including OnlyFans, but not limited to it. Like, you could have a substantive conversation. This is Ben Shapiro. It's not going to happen. He is going to use this to demonize, people, being confident in their body, obviously. And also he's going to talk about it because this dude has to talk about anything involving sex, because for reasons that are probably very clear when you watch him. This dude needs an outlet. I'll just say that. But anyway, if you read the article, it's about Bryce Adams, who's a very popular OnlyFans creator. And it talks about this empire that they've created. They've apparently, she along with her longtime boyfriend, Brian, have created this empire. They have this big farm. You can see a little shot of the layout of it. And because they post so much and they have so much money and it requires so much work, they've hired a bunch of people. They're literally job creators. You can see this picture, that's their team. That's a lot there were way more people working on that OnlyFans than work on this show. And they are being paid. They seem to like the work that they're doing. There's no indication that Bryce Adams or anyone else there is unhappy about any of this, but it's for him to jump in and say why it is wrong. Here's a little bit more.
Nowhere in this article, so far as I am aware, do they ever at any point question the morality of women being paid to bare their bodies? I mean, you want to talk about a society that objectifies women and treats them like trash? This would be the way to do it. You want to talk about depression and suicidal ideation among young men who are pathetically locked in their basements with pornography? This would do it.
Well, it is pornography. I guess that is true. I would say that if you were actually worried about men and their inability to be involved in satisfying relationships, I would say that maybe you'd stop ruining men with your advocacy. You're trying to get men to hate and fear and lust after and despise women. Maybe you could do that. But anyway, he also, by the way, JR, and we'll get into the discussion, he said, nowhere in this article, as far as I know, do they talk about this. The article ain't that long. How do you not know if they talk about that? You didn't read the article, did you? You just saw that it was about OnlyFans and you immediately started talking about it. About the morality, about promiscuity. She's in a long-time relationship. They're posting consensual images. There's nothing promiscuous about any of this. And the faux concern for feminism, you say that you're worried about the objectification of women. Yeah, the non-consensual objectification. That doesn't mean that you cannot do something. It is fundamentally about freedom. This is a person who is doing something that does not hurt them, that people are willingly paying them money to do, and it's employing a bunch of people. What exactly is the problem? JR?
It's a bit of wanting to show that it all goes back to superiority. I'm better than them. I don't do things like that. And they need to keep things like sex work, any of this type of stuff as a low level thing where if you choose to do it, I get to then say you're a lesser member of society. It's all it is. It's signaling I'm better than you. That's all this is. It's a long way of saying, I'm better than you. And anybody who disagrees with me that I'm not better than this other person, that means that you're pushing for the same immoral things in our society. Why should the Washington Post, I think it was, why should the Washington Post include the morality levels of what this woman and her team are doing? Why? What does that have to do with the story? The story is about what she does, not about the morality level, because that's one of those things that some people may see as moral and others may not. Why does the Washington Post writer, and not this opinion article, have to include their opinion one way or another? Just say what it is that they're doing, because that's interesting. You go, wow, did you know that there's this woman, I don't know her name, is making millions of dollars on a compound in Florida with tens of people that are helping her out with this? That's wild that we've gotten to this point in our world. And whatever you want to take from that, that's up to you, Ben Shapiro. You can go on your mic and have your opinion and say this is immoral, and you can say it all you want. And then afterwards, people will continue to do what they're doing, because there's little boys and men that are locked in their mom's basements with porn ever since forever. They like to say, I don't know how true it is, but you know the saying, the oldest profession in the world. And not that this isn't even prostitution. This is just images and videos, whatever the hell she's doing. This isn't even prostitution. But still, it's the oldest profession in the world, they say. But we're gonna continue to fight over and over and over again about the people that choose to do whatever the hell they want with their lives. The porn industry uses people. The porn industry destroys people's lives and controls them. And then people end up drug addicted and things like that. Some, I don't know the depths of it, but I've definitely heard stories about people who have been pulled in the same way they talk about human trafficking and all that type of stuff. So you can have an issue with that industry. But since this woman does it on her own, which she said in that piece, it's something you do on your own. You don't have to have someone else over your head controlling your life and your body.
Yep.
That's maybe the problem that Ben Shapiro
100%.
has.
Hates the independence, hates the confidence, hates, like, you are supposed to be controlled. How dare you do this? How dare you get money for it? Your nude images are supposed to get out there, but it's supposed to be through revenge porn. You're not supposed to be benefiting from it. That's all that this is. And by the way, for the fact that he wants to call, like, always consider himself to be like a person who operates via logic, a cool kid's philosopher or whatever, why don't you explain who is actually being injured like this? See, he hides instantly behind get out of having to make an argument free cards. Like, why aren't they saying it's immoral? This book that was written thousands of years ago says that she's bad. Okay, that's not an argument. You're not making an argument for why in the modern era this is a bad thing, that there should literally be legislation. He goes on to call for legislation to stop this from happening. A person who wants to be considered someone who can put together an actual argument hiding behind religious dogma at every turn. Who's surprised?
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.